welcome to High Drama. Did the shows do the best that they could? Well, let's start off with Emily Feldman's Best We Could, which examines a family with a narrator controlling the action. The daughter quits when she sees no future in anything. The mother nags. The father appears to be this affable guy who likes to simplify everything, and he has his BFF who is doing very well indeed, while he is not. A road trip ensues with the dad and daughter, with many a detour in the trip and the plot. The cast is so exceptional that they keep you interested in this non sequitur, rather repetitive commentary. And the cast was Aya Cash, Brian D. Coates, Maureen Sebastian, who was the narrator and fills in for parts that are necessary, Constance Schulman, and Frank Wood, whom I adore. Wow. And I don't know whether I liked it or didn't like it. I haven't figured that out yet. So maybe I'll just give it a mixed face plus or happy face minus for now.
Lynn Nottage's Crumbs from the Table of Joy takes place in Brooklyn in 1950 when a family from the South moves up north after the death of the mother. The father is very much in grief, and he seeks solace from this preacher, Father Divine, and becomes very devout. He doesn't allow the girls to listen to the radio on Sunday, and no alcohol. Soon, the aunt, the mother's sister, comes in, and she's the absolute opposite of the father. She's wearing a hot red tight suit and red heels. She drinks a lot. She's a communist. So the girls, especially the one Ernestine, who's about to graduate from high school and narrates, is influenced by both these two people. How will her thinking develop? And what will happen when a new person, a German woman, enters the life of the family? I thought this was wonderful. It's beautifully written. It's a very appealing story, not too unusual, but so well done. And I loved the actress. Chanel Bailey played Ernestine. And I thought she was just great because she carries so much of the play. I absolutely recommend this. Teen Company is the one doing the play.
And also Ernestine, it's sort of funny because Ernestine's the more serious one, and she's got this flighty younger sister, Ermina, who's into boys and stuff, and she's sort of like the aunt. So you've got reflected in the children, the mother and aunt, and Ermina was Malika Samuel, and the father, the stern father, Jason Bowen, who was just even changed the kids' names because Father Divine told him to. He was just obsessed with this guy. And the aunt was played by Sharina Martin, who was just she was just this like tornado that comes in and you just fall in love with her. And the German, Natalia Payne, did a wonderful German accent. I've got to say, I was very impressed. I mean, the acting, everything. I love this play. I mean, you're just completely engaged by these people, and you're rooting for them, and you care so deeply. So I give this such a happy face as well.
I want to add something because Ernestine is also very obsessed with movies, and she sometimes compares her family life to movies. And some of the high points for me is when she kind of sees the family in these movie terms, and things go quite differently from they do normally. So it's a play that seems to have everything in a very satisfying way. So it's an absolute happy face for me too.
Oh, yes. At the Public, Ryan J. Haddad, who's been at Joe's Pub doing his little solo thing, has now put together this wonderful play called Dark Disabled Stories. And he's the star of the hour and a half and humorously regales us with the travails of traipsing about New York City with cerebral palsy. I was particularly amused by his description of the 14D crosstown bus, which I ride frequently. In fact, I might have even seen him on the bus and not realized it. I mean, his attempts at dating were horrifyingly hilarious. Why be tragic when you are such a gifted, affable, somewhat snarky individual? Now, there was another disabled actor who was deaf, and he was Dickie Harps. And he goes, He kept saying and explaining over and over to us to make it even more confusing. I'm not Ryan, I'm Dickie, and I'll be playing Ryan alongside Ryan, who will also be playing Ryan. Ryan has cerebral palsy, CP, and I do not. I am deaf, and Ryan is not. I'm not an interpreter. I'm an actor, and I will be playing Ryan alongside Ryan, who will also be playing Ryan. And there's also a describer who tells all the people who are blind, you know, the color of the curtain, what people are wearing, what they're doing, where they're moving, all that. That's Alejandra Ospina. And she has been doing the spoken description of all the aspects of what is occurring. But later on, she makes an appearance with her own story in an electrified wheelchair. So this was just so good, and this was great for me because they even didn't even realize they were helping my disability of vertigo. No flashing lights, nothing. I could enjoy the entire play. I mean, they thought of everything so that anyone with any problem at all could see this, enjoy it, laugh, and have the best time. This gives such a major happy face. I am in love with Ryan Haddad.
The Rewards of Being Frank, written by Alice Scoville, is a sequel to Oscar Wilde's The Importance of Being Earnest. It's 7 years later, and let's see, I forget who's married to whom. Gwendolyn is married to Ernest, and Cecily is married to Algernon. And both the wives are experiencing the 7-year itch. They've sort of had enough of marriage and are possibly looking for something else. And that comes in the form of the man who may be the tutor for their children, Frank Teacher. Very attractive, and he knows it. He's so conceited, but so are the girls. And they invite him to the country to meet the children, but really to be away with them. The husbands come too, and they realize that maybe they've neglected their wives. Will they be able to win back their wives' affection? And of course, there's Lady Bracknell. And what wisdom will she impart to everybody? And she's played by Christine Petty, who's always marvelous. I thought it's highly artificial. It's not exactly my type of play usually, but it's very well done. And it was a very clever response to The Importance of Being Earnest. So I gave it a happy face minus.
Oh, it gets an unadulterated happy face for me because it was so clever. I mean, she actually sounded like Oscar Wilde's quips, and she even did the whole testing business where, you know, you say something like you think she would disapprove, but instead she approves. And it was just and the men were just really idiotic as usual, and the women were smarter but still gullible and everything. It was just fun. And of course, cucumber sandwiches play a very important part in this. I'm not, you know, you're going to want to go out and have cucumber sandwiches afterwards because they sound so delectable, just like this play was. So I'm giving this one a happy face. So well done. At the Signature Theater is Sarah Ruhl's Letters from Max, which is based on the book which chronicles the correspondence between Sarah Ruhl and her student Max Ritvo, and how the relationship grew from teacher-pupil to the camaraderie of writers. Max is a funny poet who is battling the not-so-funny cancer that pops up like whack-a-mole. He fights it with chemo, experimental drugs, anything, but there it is. Don't think for one moment, though, that Max had this tragic short life as he accomplished so much. He found love, a mentor, and having his poems published. Jessica Hecht, with her soft, compassionate voice with a hint of twinkle and wonder in it, was perfect as representing my favorite writer, Sarah Ruhl. I saw Max with Ben Edelman because he alternates with Zane Payeth. But Ben Edelman was passionate about his writing and ideas, and he had a uniquely poetical voice that shone through his illness. This was almost a reverse Tuesdays with Morrie. Thank you, Sarah, for bringing to our attention a writer who is worth knowing. Again, a happy face.
Thomas Bradshaw replaces Chekhov's late 19th century The Seagull into contemporary Woodstock, New York. And we still have the mother who's a famous actress who's totally narcissistic and not really responsive to the needs or moods of her son, who's a wannabe revolutionary writer. And he is putting his girlfriend in a play that he's written and presenting to his mother and his friends when she comes back to the family estate for the summer. It's the play follows very much the plot of Chekhov's The Seagull, where the girlfriend Nina is smitten by the mother's writer lover, and bad things happen after that. But it adds a lot of really sexually explicit dialogue and one sexually explicit scene, plus new concerns with racial relations, because Nina is part Black, and the writer is a Black guy who's discovered that he also has some European heritage. And I think the discussions of that, which are very different from Chekhov, add a lot to the feeling of this contemporary play. I gave it a happy face, although there are moments in it which don't quite work for me, but that didn't really matter. As a whole, it was a pretty good presentation of The Seagull, which is my favorite Chekhov play.
Yeah, I love Chekhov, and they did keep the whole work ethic thing going. And we should say that Parker Posey was the conceited mother actress. Lee Shannon was Nina. Amy Stiller was Pauline with her husband Daniel Oreskes as Darren. Patrick Foley was Mark. Otto Essendoe was William the writer, and David. The son was Nat Wolff, and David Cale. He plays the brother of Parker Posey.
Although I don't think he's really a brother here. It seemed like he was like a really good friend from college who's been living with her or in her place ever since then, and feels like an uncle and is called uncle by the son.
And I got a chance to talk to him at the Vineyard Gala a couple weeks ago, so we'll have a little bit of interview with that, and probably Leigh Silverman too, who talks about David Cale. So anyway, and I just want to bring up Hari Neff, who played Sasha, which is funny because Masha, Sasha, but she's the grumpy, depressed one who's mooning over Kevin, the son, but she's got the teacher Mark going after her, and she finally, it's like, you gotta settle. But I really wish, I know this is petty, but Queen Jean, you couldn't give her nicer clothes to wear. She just looked terrible. They gave her such dreadful clothes. I don't know. It just bothered me that they dressed her so poorly. She's depressed enough. Why can't they at least make her look, give her nice clothes? It would have cheered her up, maybe. Anyway, so I know that's silly of me, but
again, she's supposed to be like frumpy beyond her age and not looking anywhere near as good.
I know,
as
but
another actress who's twice her age.
Larry, and she had this wonderfully whiny nasal voice. I felt like I thought it was you on stage. Anyway, give it a happy face minus, but I did think that adding the Black Lives Matter bit to it was really worked here beautifully. That it was very clever. Okay. Hello,
Hello.
We are with
David Cale.
And you've done so many shows at the Vineyard. So tell me, how many have you done?
I've just done the two, Harry Clark and Sandra.
Oh.
Both that I wrote. I didn't act in them.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Harry with Billy Crudup and Sandra with Marjane Nechat.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
that was so good. The whole looking for the friend.
Oh, thank you.
Oh my
Yes,
God,
yeah.
the twists and the turns. I mean, it's the same thing with the Harry Clark.
It's the same thing. They both.
Yeah, you write all these wonderful like murder mysteries almost, so even if there's not a murder.
Yeah, but they are kind of like little thrillers.
So, do you have a twist in mind?
No.
Because you can twist and turn.
I know. I like film noirs a lot, and I like thrillers. So I thought, I wonder if I can write a one-person thriller with both of them to some degree.
Were you thinking of them in mind when you wrote?
No. But you know, the first person we thought of with Harry Clark was Billy. So it's so wonderful to be celebrating him tonight.
And why not you? I mean, you've done your Lillian. And
Yeah, I did. Yes, exactly. Yeah, I mostly do them myself. And the next one, I have a new one I'm working on called Blue Cowboy. That one I'm going to do myself. But it's been wonderful to work with such great actors.
And so, what's your favorite memory of the Vineyard?
Oh my God, there's so many. I mean, watching both Billy and Marjane really hit their strides, and sitting in the audience and watching it and feeling the audience around them was really thrilling. That the script was really doing what I was hoping it would do in terms of engaging people and keeping people kind of somewhat riveted to the story. So
it's fun because when you're in it, you're in the character.
Yeah.
You can be like playwright in the audience.
Yes.
To ask all the emotion around.
Yeah.
Say, oh, I did this. I did this.
It's really because I'd never had that experience. I've always been in it. So to actually watch and feel an audience around me responding, it was so exciting and rewarding. I'm in a play right now, so I have to. The Seagull / Woodstock, New York, the new group. Yeah.
Oh, tell me about that.
Yeah, it's really good.
What part do you have?
It's a small part called Samuel. It's based on Soren from the original. It's Thomas Bradshaw has adapted it. It's really a brilliant script. And I have a lot of writing work to do, so I thought it's such a good script and a great director, Scott Elliott, and the cast is fabulous, but I thought I'd be able to work on my own shows while I'm acting in this play, which...
So you get to get your part and read it too.
Yeah, I think I can do both. So, yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Ready, yay! Here we are with
Leigh Silverman.
Yay!
I had to think about it for a second.
I know. I tried to answer with an easy question.
Thank you. Yes, exactly.
So how many plays have you directed here, musicals and what have you?
At the Vineyard, I've done 2 shows. I did Harry Clark, starring our man of the hour, Billy Crudup, and a play this fall called Sandra, also by David Cale.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so you specialize in these winding, meandering.
Apparently, that's one of the things I like to do.
So what's it like directing one person with this intricate story, and you got to keep up the suspense, and you got to tell them. I mean, I know actors do their beats and everything.
Yeah.
But you got to like say, no, you got to.
Oh yeah, no, this is a slow. You got to dole out the suspense. You got to keep people guessing. You got to keep them entertained, and you got to give them a wild ride.
I think that's a hard thing to direct, like a straight play or music.
Different, yeah. Also because the actor doesn't have their scene partner until the first preview. So, you're sort of like pretending to be the audience laughing or enjoying, but it's like they really don't get any energy until, so it's it can be a very unusual process.
So what's your favorite memory of the Vineyard?
I have to say one of the things I love the most about the Vineyard is after a show, people don't just get up and leave. They talk. They go to the lobby and talk. It's about the community of people who come. They're devoted to the Vineyard. They see everything there. They may not like everything, but they really, I don't think I've ever experienced anything like it. And certainly this fall when we were working on Sandra, as soon as the show was over, people would just stand around and talk about it. And there wasn't a sense of like a hustle to leave. There was a sense of like, what was this show about? How does it fit into the Vineyard's mission? Like, there's a real sense of a Vineyard community member, and I love that about the Vineyard.
Well said. And they've been doing this for
40 years. That's it. That's
in the
it.
same location.
I know, crazy. It's so great.
And a good memory about Billy Crudup, the man of the
I mean, nothing but good memories for that guy. I mean, he's a dream to work with, and it's so exciting that he's being honored tonight. I'm so happy.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Enjoy the party.
Thank you.
At Classic Stage Company is Marcus Gardley's Black Odyssey, which takes the story of the wandering Ulysses who takes decades to get home to his faithful wife Penelope, and he gives it a jazzier riff. It's the ancestors controlling the actions as Deus, god of gods, and Poseidon, god of sea, play chess with Ulysses' life in a battle over the battle-worn Ulysses who killed Poseidon's child, and Pa wants his revenge. Aunt T will have none of that as she goes to Earth to protect her grandson Ulysses' wife Nella and her soon-to-be-born son Malachi, who, by the way, is played by the author's son, all waiting for word of Ulysses' return. Ulysses encounters many obstacles along the way. A flooded family, are the Grand Marshal of a second line, his wife, and Benevolence, their 10-year-old daughter. He can't save the parents, but he takes the kids with him on his adventures. This was so magical and poetical how it dealt with guilt over killing and war, a steadfast wife who never gives up hope, and ancestors are there to guide you if you ever get lost, and forgiveness is vital to move on. I normally don't like Greek theater, but this was so enchanting. This gets such a happy face. At MCC is Soho Reps, they brought it back, Hansel Jung's Wolf Play, which is an incredibly intelligent play which raises many issues on family and toxic masculinity. Peter sells his adopted Korean kid, Peter Jr., on the internet because of his nagging wife who just gave birth to their biological child. He is hesitant, especially when he realizes the adopted parents, Robin and Ash, are lesbians, and there will be no male models unless Ryan, Robin's brother, steps in. Ash is training with Ryan for their first professional boxing match with a guy. They are not too keen on Junior at first, but they develop a strong bond once the boy opens up and confides that he is really a wolf. This was so beautifully and heartbreakingly told, even though the staging got a bit confusing at times with Peter and Ryan's stories and characters intermingling, but unconnected, but it was visually very choreographed. Wolf raises some interesting points about things we all feel but never share, and how well do we know someone. The way Mitchell Winter manipulates the adorable puppet, giving him real emotions that I forgot he was even a puppet, and like Pinocchio turned into a real boy or wolf before my eyes. Everyone has coping mechanisms to endure the unexplainable. He's displaced, the boy is displaced from one home to another, and the first sign of someone loving him could be gone in a moment. Wolf Play will leave you howling for more. This time I gave it a happy face minus. I liked it better the first time I saw it Soho Rep. Anna Ziegler's The Wanderer at the Roundabout focuses on two different types of Jewish marriages. Esther and Shlomi are an arranged Hasidic couple, while writers Sophie and Abe grew up together, and Sophie always knew she would marry Abe. Everything changes after the movie star Julia Cheever comes to a reading of Abe's and emails him back saying how much he loved the reading and what he had to say. They begin a correspondence that quickly develops into a rather close friendship. Both Esther and Sophie seem to be more self-aware, while Shlomi is solidified in his beliefs and upbringing from his father with no room for doubt or deviation, and Abe is lost in this email correspondence. Both men ignore the real women in front of them, Abe over a movie star who seems to get him, and Esther, who wants more out of life than the restrictions imposed by the community and Shlomi's father. This is a profoundly moving story about the fragility of relationships that seem strong, but people get in their own way to true happiness. To see a real Jewish story meant the world to me. For once, I felt represented. Major, major happy face. And also bring tissues. Oh, so moving. Jamie Lloyd directed this like he was Ivo van Hove, and you know how I feel about Ivo van Hove. So it opens up. She's dressed in black, sitting on a chair, staring vacantly into space, and she's on this turntable that just goes around and around and around. And people enter and they sit and they go around and around, or they stand and go around and around. Like, it was just horrible. I freaking hated it so much. And Jessica Chastain had on stage. In fact, she did another strong character who was like, the heiress who's first cowed by her father and listens to her father. And then, she through actions finally becomes, like you say, grown up and strong for herself. And the same thing as Nora, who is like, mesmerized and riveted by her husband, who's like, oh, I'll die for you, I'll do anything for you. But when push comes to shove, men always fold. And don't forget, there's the friends too who come to visit and kind of take over things. Yeah, there's Christine, Jasmine Darbouz, and then there's the threatening guy, Niels.
Yeah, it's a difficult name. You'll have to see.
Yeah, and Tasha Lawrence, who I guess plays the nanny. I love Tasha Lawrence. She's such a good actress. But no, everything about this, it was just so horrible to me. It was not a doll's house. It was, again, the director just showing off himself. Like, I'm the director. I'm going to just throw the text out the window and just do whatever I want and be avant-garde. And, this was garbage, garbage, garbage. A miserably unhappy face. Unhappy face. The hugest unhappy face you ever saw in your life. So on our High Drama Facebook page, I have 3 reviews that closed already, called A Bright New Boise, Baobab at the New Victory, and Elyria at Atlantic. But still going on, but we will not get the review in on time for the show, but you'll find the review on Facebook is How to Defend Yourself from New York Theater Workshop. That closes April 2nd. Black That I Am closes April 2nd, which is Carl William O'Brien, who was on our show last time. A Tale of Anur at March 26th is one more performance. It's part of the Esther Genius Festival that's going on right now. And Lou Berger is doing Wizard of Friendship till March 26th. Apparently he's this great TikTok sensation. Benjamin Lauford turned me on to him, so I'm going to see that. At the Public, you've got Harder They Come. That's going on till April 2nd. And that's so far. And lots of Broadway is opening up. So we'll be discussing lots of Broadway in the next couple of months. Oh, and our next show, almost forgot. Our next show is April 8th. So hope you don't get fooled on April Fool's Day and all that.